I want you all to imagine something. Imagine a young girl, completely confident in her skin. A strong-willed, stubborn thing with a big family that doesn't know when to stop talking. Regardless of whom she's with, she says exactly what's on her mind. If she disagrees with you, you'll know it. If you anger her, she'll know it. She's not a subtle person, nor is she a quiet person. Part of me wishes that I could stand in front of you all and tell you that that was the young Amber Shelton, but it wasn't. I was the complete opposite. Before learning all that I have from the experiences such as growing up in the South as a naive young black girl, I was quiet, evasive, and a bit introverted. Something I've learned from both living with my insane family and being here for 4 years is that you can't assume you know someone just based on how they act. For example, whenever my dad is around a large group of people, a cranial switch flicks to entertainment mode. He becomes the most charming, talkative, quick-witted person I've ever met. He'll give a woman advice on how to decorate her new living room, it's actually kind of weird to hear, or bond with a man over a recent workout he tried with his running coach. If he says or hears something particularly funny, his eyebrow muscles furrow and the eyebrows themselves form a deep V shape. Imagine the forehead of a sumo wrestler just before he begins a match and then put it on a bald 48-year-old male version of myself. Simultaneously, the ends of his mouth pull way back and show his molars, and a high-pitched laugh that sounds like almost like a gurgle comes from behind the smile in spurts. So it's like a hip, hip, hip. At first, he seems like a fairly personable man who takes the world as it comes. But after I learned what he endured as a child, as he protected his younger sister and brother, I was amazed that he could still carry himself in such a calm way. Another person whose past you may not be able to guess is myself. As I said before, I was a quiet kid, and that was a result of the constant teasing about holes in my clothes, sideways glances from pampered mothers who didn't understand that my hair was not as easily manipulated as their children's, and an overall feeling of my being unworthy to be around the Southern belles and lighter beauties of Georgia. At the time, I didn't recognize the treatment as racially driven. I just thought people didn't like me. I remember being in kindergarten at Mimosa Elementary School and playing with wooden blocks and plastic cars on a blue and red jigsaw rug. There was a Hispanic girl sitting nearby, and I guess she must have looked bored because I went up to her and asked, "Do you want to play?" She looked at me and scoffed. "No." When I asked her why not, she said, "You're a brownie." Immediately, I licked around my lips to make sure there was no leftover dessert from lunch, and when I didn't taste any of the sweet chocolatey goodness, I turned back around and continued playing with my wooden blocks and plastic cars, pretending that I wasn't confused or hurt. It wasn't what she said that baffled me. It was the look on her face, a look of disgust and disbelief as she did a quick once-over before dismissing me. I still think about it now, and it surprises me even further because she was only a shade or two lighter than I was. Later, while I was in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, my racial problems were joined with financial problems after the software company that my parents began crashed. Before the crash, my parents were doing very well and were receiving nationwide recognition for being African American entrepreneurs who developed an educational program that taught math skills by using multicultural figures and realistic storylines. But after, it was as if my family was being shunned. We asked for loans from the bank, but they wouldn't allow it after looking at our income from the previous year. We asked the church if there was some way that they could help, and they also refused. And we were tens of thousands of dollars in debt from the company. The most prominent thing I remember is having to wear my 12-year-old brother's hand-me-downs, and then passing my hand-me-downs to my younger brother. If we needed to go school shopping, we would make a quick trip to Goodwill or see if our neighbors had anything that they were planning to get rid of. The combination of being seen as different because of my race and financial status made me not want to say anything for fear of making matters even worse for myself. Once I moved, my situation started to change. After my dad found a job in New York, we moved to Maryland for a couple months while we prepared the house in the city. In those months, I was homeschooled and met Savannah Lindsay, who was a homeschool friend who really brought me out of my shell through her music and through her family's genuine hospitality. They were as white as could be, and I would sometimes refer to Savannah as Wonder Bread. She was so white. But they were my second family, and they treated me as such. They gave me the confidence that you see today, and through their eccentricities taught me that being different isn't something to hide or be ashamed of. Because at the end of the day, those differences are what make you stand apart from the next person. The point of my chapel talk isn't to make you suddenly understand why I act the way I do, or pity me for what I've been through, because the fact is I don't regret anything I've experienced. I love the person those experiences made me. Now, most of you, especially those who stayed up extremely late last night studying for tests, finishing a lab, or writing a paper, may leave the chapel and forget just about everything I've said. But there's something I really, really want you to hold on to. Use your past to your advantage, because no one else in this room has experienced the same things you have in the same way you have. For example, who in this room is from the South? All right. Now of you guys, who has experienced living in the South from the point of view of a poor girl? Okay. How about a poor black girl? Even those who are similar still aren't completely the same. If you've lived in the same house in a small town in Connecticut your whole life, you have a different viewpoint than that of another girl who's done the same. We all do. Oh, wait. Use what you know and make people listen. Celebrate the fact that you stand out. We all do. I used to be a poor, quiet, self-conscious black girl, but because of my experiences and what I chose to gain from them, I am who I am. Amber Shelton, a loud, confident, vivacious proctor who tries to embrace every last one of her experiences. Thank you.